Hiya guys, and welcome back to Aid's Workshop. So I seem to have got a good response on the sneak preview I did of the engine running. It's still here, I haven't done anything since, but I think I need to move on now and make the final bits and pieces that go with it that aren't on the drawings, as it were. I've got a few bits and bobs, a few ideas for the engine, which I'll show you as I go forward. But obviously make up the final bits and pieces. Then I think I'm going to strip the whole thing to bits and do all the finishing on the unit. I still need to do a bit with the pipe work. I've got a few ideas for that, for the exhaust and the inlet. As you saw in the previous video, it's just connected up with a piece of hose joined on with a piece of tape. I'll take you the engine, we'll show it you running again, and I'll try and explain over the noise of the little compressor what we're going to be doing. So engine's here. I got my little tiny 12-volt compressor that's part of my airbrush, but there's plenty of air in this just to run it, as you saw. So yeah, I basically turn it on and off she goes. And it didn't do it that time, but it will start on its own. It just happened to be right on the top dead centre, and I can turn the air pressure right down and it does run nicely. I've got to finish off this pin. So what we're going to be doing today, let me just switch that off. Oil cups. There's 2 oil cups to go here. There's 2 on the crank, that's 4. And I think I'm going to put an oil cup and drill a hole for an oil cup on the crank, or the con rod. So it's 5 little oil cups to make. I think I'm going to make them all with a 5B. I think it's a 5BA thread. I'm going to have to just check what the thread is that are in these bridges. I can't recall. But whatever the thread is, that's what we're going to put in them all for connecting up the little oil cups. So let's get to the lathe and make some oil cups. Collar chuck up in the lathe. Bit of quarter brass stuck out, I don't know, ½ inch. Let's just face it off. Okay, so I need a thread here, male thread, 5BA. I just got a little 5BA bolt out of my tin, and that's measuring up about 114, 115 thou. Let's just double check. Yeah, 115 thou. So let's go imperial on the DRO. Take a touch, there we go, with a big touch. Set some zeros. So if that's 250 now, I know I need to take at least 100 off. So let's take 50 thou aside, shall we? And that's the end. Let's just set a 0. Let's go back. Maybe 360, something like that. 100 thou. Yeah, I think 100 thou will do. So let's just take another 5 off there, and I'll have a measure. So that's turned down to, where are we at the moment? Let's just have a measure. I'm looking for 115, 130. 130 at the moment over a length of 100 thou. So I've got 15 to come off. Let's do another 5 aside. Okay. So this is going to be the little thread that screws into the rails, and they're 5BA. So that's 116 thou. Okay. Just another little scratch. Speed it up a bit. Into my 100. And wind out. Okay, so we're going to put a thread down there now. So I've just put a little chamfer on the leading edge. I still haven't made a die holder for these imperial sized dies. I must do that. I'm going to put it on a little reminder note somewhere, and then still not remember to do it, probably knowing me. Anyway, yes, I do need to do it, but there's always a way, and they're only tiny little threads with a light loading. So we won't use a really good rule, we'll use a rubbish one. Let me just lock that die. Okay. I'm just winding the die nut, or the die, it's a split die in this case, onto there, using the tailstock to keep it true. Okay. So there's a little thread. Let's just put it on the other way. I'll get further into the shoulder that way, I believe. No, that's the only way it'll go. Could have almost done that by hand. Okay, got about 4 threads on there. I think what I'm going to have to do, or what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to take this out, take it out of the chuck. I'm just going to screw it into the rail, just make sure it goes in deep enough. I may have to undercut this thread, and it may not be long enough, but I'm designing on the fly here. Okay, so I've just tried it in there, and it does screw into the rail, and there's about a 1mm gap. I don't want to have it hard screwed down, so I think we'll have a little detail on the underside. I just dropped the camera, carrying it back across to the lathe, and fell out my hand and landed on the bench. Thankfully it didn't go all the way to the floor. So yeah, basically a little 5BA thread on the end of that 6mm. I think I'm going to put a radius on this leading edge here, and then I'm going to polish this up and part it off. So we'll put that back in, just leave enough room, stick it out about 1/2 inch, something like that. Let's just lock that collet. Well, that's going further than I thought it would. Okay, no need to go mad. So that's back in. I think I'll just polish the OD. Yeah, I think just what have we got? A little bit of wet and dry. Would have. If I could tear it. There we go. Okay. I think I need a little needle file now, just put a rad on there. Let me just grab it out the drawer. Okay. Not running very true. Must have a bit of dirt in there somewhere. Okay. Right, I think I want to part it off now. How deep am I going to make it? I'm going to cut it off with a parallel part around. Let's go for, thinking of oil capacity here. Keep it in proportion. I'm going to go about 7mm. So let's get my parting tool up. Let's just eyeball it onto that edge. 7mm, and I'll turn it round, give it a scratch afterwards. Hold on. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I think at this point I'm going to put a hole up through the centre. The same as the hole in the bridge itself. I think it was 3/64. Do I do it at this stage, or can I do it from the other side? It was running nicely on the OD when I turned the thread, so there's no reason why I can't hold it on the OD and come from the other side. Okay, yeah. So 7mm, just double check. Yeah. Let's chop that off. Okay, so that's chopped off. Let's make the other one now. So I'm not going to bore you, I'm going to make another one of these and then we'll go from there. So 2 made, back in the collet chuck. Just have them sticking out a little bit. Oh, hang on, no. Okay, let's do that up. Okay, out with a parting tool, back in with a turning tool and a tiny, could have done with that stuck out a little bit more. Just face the tiniest bit off. Just to true it up. So next step, I need to put a little rad on the top of there, but I'm too far in the chuck. I'll do that when I take it out and I'll move it forward a bit. So I need to put a chuck up in the tailstock now. So I've got my chuck. Let's wind that quill back. And I want a centre drill. So I'm going to be putting a substantial hole in here, so I don't need a tiny centre drill. You've got to bear in mind it's 7mm deep. Speed her up a bit. Okay. So there's a centre drill in the end of there. Now this is actually going to be the sort of, the inside of this is the reservoir where the oil is going to go. So I'm thinking, let's have a look at 4.5mm, see what that looks like for a wall thickness. And I'll probably go from touch 6mm. Let's have a look, maybe 5mm to the point, 5.5. Don't see why I shouldn't go 6mm from the point of the drill. So if I put my rule in there, which is a mil, not that rule, I haven't measured that rule. I know that rule is a mil. So, okay, let's just set a 0 on my tailstock. I think I'll go 6mm from that point, which is 7. Okay, 7 from here. Losing the plot. That's my 0 mark. I want to go 6, add the mil is 7 from there. Okay. I think I'm going to go bigger with a drill. So if that was a 4.5, I'm going to have a... I'm going to look at a 5, but I can see this going to larger, maybe 5.5mm. So let's just come back somewhere. I'll do the same again, I'll go 7 with this drill. Oops. From the rule. Let's just set a 0. Okay. I am going to go larger. I am going to go with a 5.5mm drill, and that being a quarter wall, so it's going to be thin walled, but that's all good. It doesn't need to be strong. Okay, 7 from there. That's me. Okay, so that's the reservoir bit. So it's only actually sort of 6mm deep by 5.5mm diameter, but certainly hold more oil in that than you know, it should run for a good while on that amount of oil on each side. Good lord. Right, so next thing I want is a small drill through the middle. And if I go back to my drawing, the original drawing, the hole in the rails is stated as 3/64. So I'm sure I got a number drill. Let's go back to my Zeus book. I'm sure I got a number drill that's 3/64. Number 56. So number 56 drill. Get my number drills out. I'm not very organised, guys. I'm designing this as we go along. Number 56. That is small. You know what? I think I'll go a little bit bigger. Let's go for a number 50. I'm going to go for a number 50 drill because the hole in the rail itself is 3/64. So there's no reason why this one can't be a little larger. And it sort of steps up. So I've got to go right through. Key. Let me just think, because the thread is 140, probably only about 100 thou diameter. Let's just have a look. This is a number 50 drill, 1.8mm, which is 70 thou diameter. I think we'll be alright. I'm going to pop this right through this little number 50 drill. Here we are, we're cutting. And I'll take it out and I'll see if we've sort of all but removed that 5/8 thread. See what sort of strength we got left. So, out you come. I think that's, other than deburring the top, that's the pot done. All it needs now is a lid. Okay. Oh, that'll be fine. There's the hole through the thread. There's the little pot. There's the reservoir bit with a hole in the bottom. I've got a little burr on the top. I need to put it back up. And I just want to radius the top of this over. So it's stuck out a bit more this time. I can't go mad with this. I'll probably be able to do it by hand. That looks good. So the tool out the way. I think that's it. Yeah, happy with that. Just needs a little buff up now. And there's my little oil cup. So I've got 2 of these to make, which with the 5/8 thread, and we'll have a look at what we're going to do on the other 3. I think I might actually make 3 of these. the same, and I'll do the same size on the con rod, I think. Okay, so that's those two in place. I think some little lids now with maybe a little finial on top, something you can grab hold of, just to pop the little lids off. So let's have a think on that one. I know the OD's a quarter, so it's going to have a little quarter register on the inside, and the rest of it is open to sort of artistic license, I think the word is. Well, off camera I made a little copper lid to go on the oil pot. I didn't finish it off. I just thought I'd have a look and see what it looks like. I don't like it. I didn't have a piece of quarter brass, or sorry, anything larger than quarter without going to 3/4 brass. So I did have a piece of 10mm copper, and I thought, let's just have a look. But yeah, so we won't be bothering with that. So I'm going to make some little lids for the oil pots. I've done a couple of these, so I've got all my readings set up. And just space that off, set a 0, I'm doing a little shoulder, 1.5mm back, there, there. Couple of little stretch passes. That's my diameter. And wind out. Okay. Little break edge on there. So out with that tool. In with the parting tool. Just set a 0 on that front face. There. And in 3mm. There. Part it so far down. Yeah, I'm not in the way there, am I? Okay, so that tool is repeatable in the tool holder, so I can take it out. Just going back in with a turning tool, I'm going to dive into that groove and then just put a chamfer using this turning tool for about half the diameter. Back in with a parting tool. Back to my 3mm position, which is there, no, not quite there, and finish parting it off. Okay, so that's the lid made. I got to put all 3 lids. Let me just switch off. So there's the little lid in stainless. I've got an oil pot here, let me just pop it on. Yeah, oh, where are we? You can see the little pip from turning it, from parting it. So I need to put those up now, holding on the little register, and just machine the top of that flat. So this is a little precarious. Pretty much got to hold it in there. I'm only holding on 1.5mm. So it's just in there. Now I've got that little pip. Let's just see. Yeah, it's running through. I'm going to remove the little pip with a file. Just so that I'm not trying to turn that little stainless pip off. Okay. And just machine a whisper off there to tidy it up. Ooh, carefully. Like that tool is a tiny bit low. It's a tiny little... Okay, that's gone. And just run that chamfer into a tiny radius on the top. Okay, so there's the first one I did. That's the second one. And I do have a third here. So a little job I've been meaning to do for a while. The little pin that holds the conrod into the crosshead. I've got a little witness mark on here. 13/16 long. Just face it to length. I think, you know what, I think I'll just dress it with a little lead in with a needle file, I think, on the end, a little ball on it. Just to be nice to it. Maybe a little polish. Okay, so that should be that pin to length. This spanner bugs me sometimes. It's just, I know it's got the 4 engaging teeth, but it's just the temptation to grind the middle 2 out, just to make it easier to use. Okay, so nothing to that, just a little pin face to length, and with a break edge on the ends. So that's the pin in place and cut to length. It actually sticks out the either side by a couple of millimeters. I was thinking it was going to be just below surface, and I might be able to put a little ball detent with a ball bearing or something when I assemble it, just to hold the pin in place. But we might end up using a bit of Loctite, something like that. Anyway, that's the 2 little caps, and yeah, I mean, they do fit. And yeah, so they're not going to go winging all over the place when it's running. Okay, so yeah, quite like the look of them. Well, they'll do for now. They can be changed at any stage. Let's put it that way. Obviously, they're going to need polishing up and what have you. So I'm at the point now where I'm going to take the engine completely apart again. Just a little tip when setting these up. Obviously I've got it rotating in this direction, which is only ever going to tighten up the crank pin. I could set it to go run in the other direction by changing the cam to the opposite, but with the crank or the block fully back and the crank this way, the screw or the high point of the cam is pointing vertically upwards. That's a ballpark for the timing of the valve gear. You saw me set the length of this rod by turning the clevis pin. But yeah, so with the crank fully back into the engine, the little screw or the high point of the cam vertically upwards. Obviously, if I set it vertically upwards at this end of travel, the engine would run the other way. I'm guessing. I haven't tried it. I think it probably would. But anyway, that's like 180 degrees out on the timing. So, next step now, much as I hate to do it, I might even have a last play with it. It's covered in oil. It's going to want thoroughly degreasing before painting and all the rest of it, but we've got a method for that. So next plan now is take it all to bits, the whole thing back into its individual bits, strip it all down, and we'll go for some of the finishing details, I suppose, but that's for another video. I will show some of that. I'm sure you guys don't want to see me polishing bits of brass with a mop in the Dremel and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's for another day. So, get a good mic out. Cigarette paper, the ones I use, the green ones. I said it was a thou thick. Hold on. If I just grab it that end on the mic, what am I getting? I've just changed it to millimeters. Hold on. Let's do this again. 1.2 thou. If I just go the other end, what's that reading? Exactly the same. Can't get this in the screen, guys. So yeah, okay, 1.2 thou. This is a green one, or a green packet, which are medium weight. You can get thinner ones as well. But yeah, so it's 1.2 thou. It's fairly consistent over its length, and for what I use them for spacing things off by a thou, I'm sure that's more than good enough. There we are, guys. You've seen me use the roly papers. Somebody was asking me about it and saying that they got ridiculed for it at some point, but hey, it works anyway. So green jumper day, pretty much the engine's finished. I think the only part left to make is actually the metal heat shield that goes over the cylinder. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to bother putting that on. I like to see the cylinder itself, but I probably will. Anyway, so strip it all to bits now, and it's all going to get polished and painted and goodness knows what. We'll see where we go with that. But that's for another video on another day. So as per usual, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and thanks for subscribing. Give me a thumbs up if you want to, and we'll see you all very soon. Cheers now.